All right, so move on to the final segment. We're going to switch gears here to the world of college football. And the final segment, I'll be sharing my teams that have my list of teams that have impressed me and disappointed me thus far this college football season. So I have three teams that have impressed me and two teams on my list that have disappointed me. So let's go into the teams that have impressed me thus far. Starting off with team number one on my list is the Texas Longhorns. Now the Texas Longhorns have impressed me a lot so far this college football season. Rightfully so, they are the number one ranked team in the country right now. This Texas program is moving into the right direction this college football season. Steve Stark has figured out a winning formula once again in Texas. I'm proud of the work that he's done as a head coach here for this program. He has this team off to a hot start, 3-0 this season. And let's not forget about their big Week 2 victory that they had on the road, defeating the reigning defending national champions in the Michigan Wolverines Week 2. I mean, from start to finish, they punched them in the mouth. They were the bullies on the field. They pushed them around and said, there's not a damn thing you're going to do about it. And they were the more physical, more dominant team in their victory against Michigan 2 weeks ago in the college football season. I mean, in the trenches, they won that game in the trenches. Offensive line out battled the Michigan Wolverines defensive line. Same could be said about their defensive line matching up against the Michigan Wolverines offensive line. And they have already had two outstanding performances, putting up 50-plus points thus far on their opponents 2 out of 3 weeks that they've played in college football this college football season. And don't get me wrong, no matter who's at the quarterback position, whether it's Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning, this team has a chance to be great week in and week out in college football. They have a chance to win it all this year. They have a chance to rise to the occasion and do great things at Texas this year. I like the direction that this program is going into, and they impressed me a lot this college football season. And the next team on my list is another team that has impressed me a lot. It's the Miami Hurricanes. Now, the Miami Hurricanes find themselves a top 10 team in the country for the first time since December of 2020. So it's been a long road back to the top 10 for the Miami Hurricanes, but I really believe that the Miami Hurricanes will put themselves in position, if all goes well, put themselves in position to make the playoffs this year. I don't really see anybody as a legitimate threat in the ACC other than themselves and Clemson this year. So that'll be something to look out for if those two respective teams play each other in the ACC conference game later on this college football season. And the only tough remaining game right now on the Miami Hurricanes schedule is Louisville, the Louisville Cardinals, who are a top 25 team right now, 19th in the country right now. So that's the only tough game I have for them, but hats off to that quarterback, Cam Ward, man. Cam Ward, transfer from Washington State, has played very well at the quarterback position this year. I said a few weeks ago, if you guys followed the podcast, I said he was my honorable mention behind Jalen Milroe to win the Heisman Award this year, and he has not disappointed this year. He has 11 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, an impressive QBR rating of 94.4. That leads the league, that leads the country in QBR right now. He's been phenomenal, and the Miami Hurricanes have been phenomenal as a whole. I have to say I'm very impressed with them thus far. And last but not least on my list is Ole Miss. Now, right now, Ole Miss is the 5th best team in the country. Jackson Dart is playing at a high level, one of the best quarterbacks in the country this season, 8 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, a QBR of 91.9. He has Ole Miss in the right direction. It just comes down to how they play against their SEC foes of Georgia and Alabama and etc. later on in the season to see if they can make the college football playoffs. But I have to say I'm very impressed with these 3 respective teams early on in the college football season. Now, these two teams on my list have really been disappointing to me, and it's very unfortunate that the direction that they're going into. But let's start off with the first team that has disappointed me. It's Florida State. The Florida State Seminoles have disappointed me. I don't know what has happened to this team. I mean, last year they lost Jordan Travis, their quarterback, for the whole entire season, but somehow, some way, still found a way to go 13-0 in the regular season, just barely missing the college football playoffs last year, and start off the season as a top 10 ranked team in the country. But they've already started off 0-3. They've lost to Georgia Tech, that opener in Ireland. They lost to Boston College, and they lost to Memphis. So now you start off the season 0-3 against competition that truthfully you should have beaten in your first 3 games. Being in the position that you were as a top 10 team in the country, now you find yourself 0-3. Now you find yourselves probably, as the season is probably over, in terms of you having a chance to make the college football playoffs. So Mike Norvell, as a head coach, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's lost the locker room thus far this season. I don't know if anybody's buying into his message this year, but this Florida State team is completely out of it. And bringing in DJ LeMahieu was a horrible decision because the man is not a good quarterback. The man has actually brought them down in terms of offensive production. I think this was a really bad decision by the program for allowing him to bring him in from the transfer portal. And he has a lot of responsibility, responsibility. I should say he's very responsible for the reason why Florida State is in the position that they are, 0-3 to start off the season. Now, another team, the final team on my list is the Florida Gators. I am disgusted. It's disgraceful. It's disgusting. It's despicable of what has happened to my Florida Gators. I mean, Billy Napier needs to leave the program immediately. Billy Napier has not been a good Florida Gators coach to us. He needs to either be bought out of his contract or fired. And I think that could happen in the next month or so if things continue in Florida. There's just no sense of urgency to go out there and compete against the best of the best on a weekly basis when Billy Napier and this Florida Gators program has to match up against some good teams that they faced so far in the Miami Hurricanes and Texas A&M. It's easy to bully teams that are beneath you, but what about the teams that you're supposed to stand up to and put up a fight against to be good, to be great again? I haven't seen that in those performances. I mean, they got blown out in their home opener against the Miami Hurricanes, 41-17. Like Cam Ward run all over there. Like he was Hulkamania running wild on Americans back in the wrestling day. And then you just lost to Texas A&M last year. Now, I got a really good stat for you guys that follow college football. Billy Napier has had 2 years to turn around this Florida Gators program. When Dan Mullen got the boot when he was fired from Florida, Billy Napier was supposed to be the savior to get them back to being a contending team in the SEC conference. Well, that hasn't happened, and it will not happen, I believe. But Billy Napier has had 2 years to turn around the program and has failed. He has 12 wins and 16 losses as a Florida Gators head coach. Historically, he's been the worst Florida Gators head coach. Has been the worst full-time Gators coach since Raymond Wolf's 35.9% winning percentage back in 1946 to 1949. So this has been historically bad for the Florida Gators. Billy Napier needs to go, and we need a true leader in the swamp to help this Gators team rise again. But those are the teams that have been impressive and that impressed me the most this college football season. The 2 teams that have disappointed me the most this college football season. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.